So let's take a look at the decks. Now we're gonna see some cool stuff from kolemoen. Alessio is bringing a very similar list that Green Knight had. So if you missed the last series, which was a real heartbreaker for me, I love both of those players so much. It's really hard to see. I mean, I love you guys. I love all you guys so much. But that one you get another chance to see this lineup is what I'm trying to get at. Gernakor, Brand, Brewer, and Morvran. You should not expect to see too many different things in this matchup as Green Knight kolemoen, though. No monsters once again.
No monsters on the side of kolemoen there. And we talked to him earlier today. I had a little chat. I said, you know, what's your strategy with this? And he was looking, I would suspect that he's going to go with what he told me, which is he's looking to ban SK and target monsters. So maybe that's why he didn't bring the monsters list, because he suspects that maybe that's going to be the strategy for all the players moving forward.
Yeah.
So he said, if they're going to be targeting monsters, I'm just not even going to take it.
Well, Legion had the same idea. Let's see what the players actually decided here for the ban. And we're getting Bran with the ban. No brands.
No brands.
No brands today.
No 2 scoops of brands.
So we're no, definitely not 2 scoops. But we're going to get into seeing you know, a couple more lists here. kolemoen's bringing some pretty cool stuff as well. We can look at the decks, of course, because we have the GWENT library. Once again, this is ordered alphabetically on screen, but in the library, you can sort it by provisions as it would be familiar to you in the deck builder.
Once again, my friend, I just want to know how we got so lucky to play with another list of Shoop with the Morvran and Shoop with the Brewer Hoog from kolemoen.
kolemoen believes in it, and Wang had also believed in it, so Shoop's still seeing play. Pretty wild outcomes for Shoop, but standard, you can expect it to be 12 points very reliably. So, you know, you get that value, fair enough, and you also have a lot of flexibility. Plus, Scoia'tael and Nilfgaard have a pretty good selection of cards to build Shoop around. But then we have the Queen Meve list with trebuchets and with trebuchets and with a couple of really dangerous engines. Again, targeting more of a wide strategy, having some lacerates in there. Or having a lacerate in there on top of that.
So as the resident Northern Realms ambassador, you're wearing the pin proudly there, my friend. Nicely contrasted on that beautiful, what is it, salmon-colored shirt?
Hey, it's a nice contrast. Blue and red,
it, dude.
red on blue.
I'm not saying otherwise.
Let's not lose track of this.
But let's just take a look at this list over here. As, you know, as someone who's very excited to play Meve, do you think that this is definitely a list that you want to see? I mean, we're off to Alessio now.
I mean, we have seen some Northern Realms
no Meve there.
happen here. No Meve here. No Northern Realms. They made that decision, but they did go with a very similar list as Green Knight. So once again, this time, however, Bran is banned and Brewer is let through. So we're going to get to see kind of that Team Leviathan take with Brewer Traps, which has proven to be pretty strong. I've played it a little bit last season. I thought it was just really good. Crushing Traps seems just so dominant, and Nivellen gets you a ton of value with the Crushing Traps as well. And we're going to get the chance to see that. Everything else, though, going to just continue on, I think, from the last match.
Yeah, it looks
strong mid-range Morvran plays. Gernakor, of course, is going to get work done as she does. So looking forward. And again, if you want to check out these lists as they come in on the fly, playgwent.com in the new GWENT library. These lists are being uploaded as these matches conclude, so you can see what the pros are playing, and maybe you can build it and take it for a spin as well.
That's it. They are available for you essentially as this match gets underway here. So we kept them hidden from the competitors, but they're locked up and ready to go. They're plugged into the Matrix.
This is a real match. I mean, I have played. Alessio is new to GWENT Open right here, sitting in the hot seat for the first time. I have said that. Making sure that we have everything sequenced up here to get the game started here. Again, I'm back on director. I think Alessio is an incredibly strong player, but boy, is he going to be tested here against kolemoen, who plays every game like it's a tournament, so this is just natural for him.
That's right, and I mean, between, in the previous series, the one just before this one, you know, walking by behind the stages, behind the scenes and whatnot, he was dialed in. He was studying there was not a moment of rest. From the point we saw him this morning, he was studying lists. He was, you know, just while everybody else was just kind of relaxing, having a good time, he was just sitting back, studying lists, watching gameplay, and just trying to make sure that he is on top of his game. He does not take anything for granted. He sees Alessio coming up, and he knows that, you know what, this is somebody who wants to go ahead and make a name for himself. And taking down kolemoen could be something that he can get that to happen.
Queen Meve on the leadoff here is going to go up against Brewer. So this will be pretty interesting. We're seeing this here from Kolemon's point of view. And yeah, I was sitting next to Alessio watching the game Green Knight and Molegian. Just to maybe just elaborate, I have prepped for tournaments with both of those players, so that was especially an important match for me to watch. But we're going to get to see this cool trebuchet list here, going on with the Tridem Infantry as well, which hasn't been a very popular pick for Northern Realms in this tournament so far. As we're going to get things started here in the second half here, the back nine. Maybe even actually could be 9 games. We've only seen 3-game series here. Both of these have been 3-0s as we get things started with Kolemon leading off in Queen Meve, which is where you want to be with Queen Meve. Actually playing first offers you a lot of control.
Right, so opening up possibly with the trebuchet. I mean, you're the pro here when it comes to Meve. You love that new leader, these fresh new faces to the game of Gwent. Do you think that the reinforced trebuchet on the range row is a safe play, or do you wait for him to maybe commit something to the range row before you put that card down? I mean, in terms of proactive plays, his options might be limited here with the Witchers as an option.
Yeah. Well, in this case, this is pretty strong here, making sure that this sticks. Definitely no real punishment. And Meve can make sure that that commando will pull out his friend. But the reason why he is investing a lot into this play is because the 2 blue stripe scouts in hand. If those don't hit the commando, they just aren't really that strong to push this round. It's interesting that you talked about the trebuchet. We see the lacerate in hand from Kolemon, and we see the trebuchet. So the trebuchet does encourage your opponent to stack the melee row, which sometimes in Northern Realms matchups, you'll do that anyway, just in case. Trebuchet is really one of the only things you have to think about. So if Kolemon just starts putting all the units on the front row, if Alessio's thinking about putting all those units on the front row, he's going to get punished by that lacerate.
So still some thought process back here. I mean, the early buff on the scout, on the commando, it leads you to believe that he's already got the pieces, the extra pieces in hand. So he's protecting that one right there. He wants to make sure that he can maximize the value on it, get all the clones out.
Very proactive play here coming in from Alessio, buffing up Sheldon Skaggs, who gets that little double dip of all that bonus. And we saw a lot of double dipping. That Hubert play at the end of that last game. Good God. But this is pretty good for Alessio. He does have Skaggs in hand, so he has no problem playing Iflin. Skaggs is the target. So no need to hold or no need to worry about not having that play. So it's just a strong proactive play. As well.
Well, the work is done, right?
Yeah.
The 5 points are just on the board. The work is done later on.
The rest
it's in
is
the
gravy.
hand. It's all gravy for now.
Alessio is playing Dwarven Agitators, none in hand though, so he does have ways of making Skaggs a little bit bigger, but as you can see, they are here.
Elves must die.
Here comes the blue stripe scout. Yeah.
And they're out, and that's it. That's all. And now with the two orders, ready to go, you can go ahead and hit the other scout on the board and the commando. Another commando comes out. It doesn't matter which one. So you can't kill them all.
It's the natural advantage of being able to develop more than one engine at once. And Northern Realms has a couple of ways of doing it. Hensel can do it as well. Vernon Roach sometimes can do it, depending on what kind of list you're playing. But in this case, when you're holding the scout, you just feel very safe at this point as the skirmisher comes down, taking advantage of that reach and just kind of showing a little bit more of a low commitment intro here from the red coin.
Right, you're getting your 5 points. It's as much as you can do with that card right there. Again, putting more of the commandos in the deck and allowing for the full attack of the clones.
Oh man, Kolemon's just getting a ton of value out of his lower bronzes here. Alessio is trying to get the same level of power here, but he is almost over doubled up here by Queen Meve on the 7-card decision here. And because Queen Meve does not mind playing first, that's always a consideration on when you might want to pass, what you actually want to commit. I think the last rate's going to be a huge play.
Definitely.
I think that's going to need to be held close to the chest and used in a crucial moment.
Definitely. Alessio suspects that perhaps there is already a trebuchet in hand, so that's why he's stacking up the front row. But one thing he probably doesn't suspect is that there might be a lacerate coming in to really shut things down. But with a 14-point lead that's just going to grow, I don't think that lacerate is really on the menu at this moment right now. There's not many cards in Alessio's hand that can really grant him that immediate fight back without committing something like Skaggs.
There's the pass. Looks like Alessio's going to be happy to keep that card. He didn't commit that much at all. Now, Kolemon also did not commit really anything at all. The only thing that you could say, Alessio is now in a good position here, being able to have that extra card. It starts to feel a little bit like old Gwent here, being able to take that good pass and maybe flex a little bit. Crushing Trap affords you so much space. That card does so much, and Brewer just makes it that much sweeter. Mahakam Horn also in the hand, all traps ready to fire. as kolemoen decides how to get this started.
There's a lot of potential point generation that for long round potential, things like the traps. I mean, there's so much that he can just rely on if this goes the distance. If Malegian decides, kolemoen decides to really take take the pass here, dump a few cards, and go for a long round, that could play into definitely play into Alessio's favor, but he's not going to do that. I suspect that, kolemoen knows what kind of lists are being played here. He's a smart guy. He's likely going to just, dump some points and take this a little deep, or not.
No, I mean, I was going to say that because the Witchers being the only proactive play and also a thinning play that you would definitely take in this situation, but he does have the 2 Witchers in hand, and all of these cards are very important. These are engines. These are key removal pieces. These are huge combo pieces. And this actually puts him back in a position of now acting last, which is very important, of course. In general, you always have a little bit more. It always feels much safer when you can act last. But we won't be seeing Hubert this time around. kolemoen actually not running that card, which is amazing to think of when we just saw how strong it can be in the right deck.
That's correct. I mean, with just stacking all that damage is just sort of waits in the wings to all come crashing down at once. Hubert comes down and just absorbs all that energy.
Skaggs is looking pretty good. He should have a decent target to dig in, or at least deal with Seltkirk if there's no Zeal. There go the mulligans. The Witchers are cleared up. kolemoen deciding perhaps to go for one more gamble. Perhaps he doesn't believe these are the best possible cards, but it is a risk. He has the extra 2 mulligans because of the pass. The overdraw, another one of the many changes that we saw, allows him to, now this would be the risky mulligan at this point, allows you to get that extra mulligan if you overdraw those cards. So
but
rewarding
we'll
passing early. Got lucky there.
No
he ended up getting Vess in hand, I believe, and staying clear of the Witchers, which is exactly what you want to see. This is a pretty strong hand from kolemoen. Both players are actually the Nivellin combo with the double crushing trap. There's a lot happening here, and Census is going to come down and make sure that nothing can really be that proactive. But I think those Witchers have been waiting to be played.
Right. I mean, they're just sitting there. They're waiting to just come down. And again, looking at Alessio's list, that Nivellin, I mean, a lot of people talk about this card. It can really come down and just terrorize a board. Something this long with as many units that can be played. At the end of the day, double crushing trap with Nivellin, it lines up things so beautifully, and there's still there's still just Sheldon Skaggs there to just dominate a tall unit. Yeah, he's got key pieces of removal, Kyronek's in hand, as well as Sheldon Skaggs. He's holding Kieran as well, that will definitely probably happen right now. Kieran probably locking the botchling, as it is likely one of the best targets here. But yeah, kolemoen didn't decide to keep the other engines here, but he's pretty confident probably in a row stacking situation anyway. Right. I mean, when it comes down to locking the botchling here, and again, the botchling will damage the highest unit at the end of every turn, at the end of every ally turn rather. So I mean, it's it's 1 point that's ticking away, and this is really only one of the few ways that you can really indirectly interact with say Synthesis. Yeah. But Brewer going ahead and moving it around and pairing it up, that lock, and getting rid of it. So that's one creative way to do it without actually having to waste a lock. I think this is exactly what Ultraman needs to do here, is just control the board. I mean, usually when you're playing against Meave, controlling the board is of the utmost importance. You're trying to keep engines off the board. You're trying to prevent any sort of build up for a Hubert play. But kolemoen's not really playing that way. kolemoen's engines are, at this point, that would have been the only one. He's going to be able to get a lot of value to these cards. His hand is quite strong, but he is not going to be as countered by control, perhaps, as Meave traditionally could be. Right. Control pieces that we see here, obviously, the Kyroneks. We have Vess, who deals 4 damage on deploy, and there goes Nenike. Yeah. That's going to make sure that stuff lives. This is probably justifies the inclusion of something like the Tridem Infantry, being able to get all those buffs on, but also very, very good for Seltkirk if you need to duel into a high unit. But in general, Nenike is worth it a lot of the time. A 6-strength body is difficult to deal with in the first place, so you're going to likely get that value, plus that extra added synergy that Meave has with boosts at the moment. Right, and I mean, with the Nivellin in hand, you can kind of be also a little bit more there we go. Like I was going to say, you can be a little bit more liberal with using your leader charges. But using those Brewer charges to put things into range
Nothing
of
lives,
actual
right?
damage. Exactly.
Kill them all. That's what Alessio is thinking right now.
But at the same time, if you're going to be doing that damage, then if you're keeping the board completely clean that way, your crushing traps get a little bit worse.
That's a very good point.
And you have 2 of them. So at the same time, you got to think that maybe that's why they didn't just go ahead and drop the Kyrenex to kill the Neneke straight away.
And you'll notice Neneke is one of the units that has an order charge that is row locked, kind of an ancient term, but more applicable now than ever. Just simply by moving Neneke disables that order completely. So no chance to really use this unless getting her back to the ranged row. So there are a lot of units out there that are susceptible to that type of disruption. I'm not a huge fan of Neneke for this reason. Some cards you can justify getting away with it, maybe like Avalok, but it's an easy fix for Brewer, who's just got movement galore.
And the Witcher's coming down, hitting the back row. 3 bodies there, making those crushing traps a little bit more attractive. But again, those are going to be late game options to look at, McBee. I mean, really, it seems Brewer's always, a leader that's going to kind of come back towards the end. He likes the long game. He's not a sprinter. He's what's that term from Lord of the Rings? Us dwarves are not good in the sprint, but we're not good in the long distance. We're dangerous in the sprint. Not in this case.
Not in this case.
Not in this case.
In this case, Brewer is just going to sit back.
And that's why it's fiction, McBee. That's one of the few reasons why Lord of the Rings is fiction.
I have no argument. No argument at all. kolemoen is going to go ahead and get as much value as he can from these units. Most of these are reactive attacks at this point. Seltkirk is going to need Vest to stick, so making sure that Vest lives is key for kolemoen to actually have a fighting chance against this trap storm that is going to be just ravaging the rows here as the first one drops.
The first one hits the board over there. That's only going to trigger, as you see, after two allied turns. The horn's there. kolemoen knows that that's the horn, and at that point, what are you doing? You're really trying to make sure that you can clear as many units off the board. He has options, but again, if we look into his hand, Vess is a card that can be easily wiped out in numerous ways. So it's a matter of just trying to make sure that you keep the right sequencing of cards so that you can protect the more valuable options in your deck. But right now, kolemoen is he's playing from a state where he doesn't have much to play with on the other side.
I feel like kolemoen has to make a play to play Vess very close to the end, which puts Seltkirk at a pretty high risk. But I think Seltkirk without Zeal is almost unplayable. Like you can't guarantee the value, because simply damaging Seltkirk takes away tons of his value. As he is a dueling unit, he throws his strength into whatever unit you want, provided he stays on that melee row. But at this point, yeah, the Crushing Trap's going to flip over on the end of turn here for Ultraman. There's Nivellen coming in. First Crushing Trap going to get a clean at 12 points.
That's just, see, there it is. And suddenly, we're back on top in a big way.
Yeah, but it's pretty threatening. It's possible that, kolemoen could take the Vess risk. The lacerate is going to be, it's not going to match the traps, right? It just doesn't
There's no way, no.
It can't come swinging with the same potential of the traps against Brewer with Nivellen, really drawing into all the cards he needed. There's really the Willem and the Unicorn, really, well, technically just the Unicorn, the only card that Ultraman did not want to see. Whereas kolemoen has had to deal with no Ockfist, no Anna, or Vincent, which are huge value cards in the right situations.
Yeah, his toolbox has been a little lighter than he's used to having, especially in these long matches. Things that could really, help him out in the long run. Things like Anna, which would have by now possibly have generated him a significant amount of points. Stuff that he could have protected with the Unicorn, with Meve. There's so many options there.
Looks like Alessio is fine playing the trap now, knowing that Sheldon Skaggs is a big end game play, because he is, again, dealing exactly as much damage as he is boosted. So the maximum potential 18, he won't hit an 18-point unit, but he will be able to remove pretty much anything. Here comes the artifact, actually the tech here that stops
it gets rid of the trap.
Yeah.
The Frenzied Dow. Well, the horn's still there. The Frenzied Dad coming to destroy the extra trap that he, the second trap.
The second crushing trap.
And that, again, a crushing trap would have, it was like crushing his dreams again. That would have been lining up for another 9-point swing. So.
Yeah, the big problem here with Kolemoen, while Frenzied Dow is awesome right now, it only deals with one of the 3 problems here that are being represented by traps.
So Vess is looking like she's probably going to bite the dust because there's answers galore. She's either going to get locked or my suspect is that she's going to get locked over here. You know, Sheldon is just waiting with a 9-pound
Selkirk won't be able to activate at this point. There's the lock. Vess will not trigger. Selkirk has to be played now if there's any hope of actually activating that duel.
Yeah, and the Meave charge is most likely sort of cross your fingers and hope and pray that he doesn't have an answer for this if he even wants a chance, but...
This might be the escape button once again. This might be keeping something close to the chest. I mean, you can put Northern Realms on Selkirk pretty safely, and of course Karnax and Unicorn is almost a no-brainer for a lot of these lists. But if Kolemoen thinks that there's just no chance, the Mahakam Horn and Bruver with 1 charge already represents a staggering amount of...
That's 10 points.
It's 10
right
points
there.
just on board, plus Sheldon will kill Selkirk. It will happen.
So that's it. This is more. This is not. Oh, and he's gonna go. He's gonna, show his hand. And like you said, it's not that Selkirk is like the Earden that he was that Cams was holding on to in the previous matchups. It's not a surprise. So he's gonna show it. Maybe he doesn't have it.
Choosing to actually not buff Selkirk, knowing that likely if it is Sheldon that's in hand, which we've seen Ithlin, we've seen the Dwarven Agitators. We can make that safe assumption. I think if we're in Kolemon's seat here. But you just would lose the buff otherwise. But simply moving Selkirk is enough. More value out of Sheldon here.
But that's 8 points over there, and which is matched by the horn. There it goes.
There's the horn, there's the
Puts
pass.
in it just out of reach.
Ultraman taken a game away from the #1 player on the Pro Ladder last season, doing it in a ridiculously low amount of games, something like 424 games. Kolemoen with the amazing high win rate, but Alessio is going to collect a win right here against Kolemoen, putting a crown on
the Bruver,
on Bruver, who is already wearing one, but he gets 2 crowns.
Double
out of the
crown,
one, right?
It's like double fist, double crowning, no problem. Look how golden and beautiful he is right there.
Resplendent, majestic.
Resplendent. It's all good.
Adjectives.
But I mean, in that game with the Meave build, like you said, we went through the deck and we saw all the extra pieces that were just sitting there that got untouched. So it almost felt like he was just, sometimes it feels like you're playing with half a deck, right? Because you're not going to always draw all the cards, but you can confidently, with the amount of draws, the amount of mulligans you get, you can at least get some of those big pieces back. But there was so much meat that was left on the plate there.
You can see just how strong those crushing traps were and how strong that Bruver list looked. You can see what Malegian was thinking with the ban, letting Brand through and stopping Bruver, because Bruver has some incredible potential right now. Crushing trap kind of playing a role very similar to the Golden Froth of the launch early on in October, being able to capitalize on row strategies and get massive amounts of value. Really, that's the end of the sentence.
That is it. Full stop. So this is the Bruver list, the Shoop Bruver list coming in from Kolemoen, facing off against Alessio's the Ultraman, his Gurnikora list. Interesting spot there for the Gurnikora list. Besides the Count Caldwell at 10, you don't have the typical 12-point. You don't have the 12-point spear tip. You don't have the 10-point Goliath as extra pieces to either to slam down on the board and get those Thrive units to grow.
Absolutely. Now, I think as far as Kolemon's Shoop list, you're not going to see anything too out of the ordinary, although Geralt Professional is a nice inclusion here as the Griffin comes down and gets some of the best value that you can get from that card in the Gurnikora's Fruit.
Absolutely, and this goes again to the strategy that Kolemoen was talking about. I'm going in, banning SK, targeting monsters. So this is a list where something like Geralt Pro comes in, we deploy on the melee row, damage an enemy by 3, but if its power was a multiple of 3, destroy it instead. There's going to be options, especially with some of the damage that Kolemoen can tailor, with things like the Blathana Bowman, with things like Dwarven Skirmisher, and Milan. There are going to be ways to actually tailor it to become a multiple of 3 in order to activate the Geralt Pro.
Right, folks, you have not seen this. You have not seen this card in a while, probably. Farseer being included in this Shoop list. Kolemoen is only really running the Lacerate and Shoop's Day Off, of course. So the chances of this actually hitting the value of 6 is fairly low. But it does have, it is a 4-point unit at 4, and honestly, in Shoop decks, you're trying to get it here as the Bowman is shooting across the rows there and taking out the Drowner, keeping the Thrives to a minimum. And I think this is an important match for Ultraman. If he thinks he's being targeted as monsters and he gets through with this, he should be feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, if he can actually, this is going to be the big test, I think. This is going to be the list that that is really going to dictate how the rest of the series will go. I mean, if he can get through with his Gurnikora list over here, then it sort of can become anyone's game. But again, like we said, Kolemoen said he's targeting monsters. He doesn't like monsters, and now with the Foglet on the front row, and you know, the Fruit out there, other Thrive units in hand, it's going to get out of control fairly quickly.
Peasant Militia coming down. She has a Goose and she's not afraid to use it. Another card that is, you know, these are just kind of the cards that fill out these Shoop lists, but boosting is always just generally interacting with your side of the board is usually safe stuff, and I think that the choices for the 4 is maybe not my first choices. I think the Farseer is an interesting inclusion. But we're seeing Gurnikora able to stay ahead at a pretty good pace here. I was thinking, Alessio, if Kolemoen was assuming that Alessio and Green Knight brought similar lists, you could assume that Alessio is actually at a slight disadvantage here because the decks are very similar. But Gurnikora has the ability of just being very, very strong. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Gurnikora is everywhere. You know what's coming, and a lot of times you can't stop it. Well,
Kolemoen is a very focused individual. I met a few words, but I will say this. During the previous matchup, he was very, very interested in watching those lists really, really closely, knowing, you know, just how the teammates, how well they prepared together and how that went, how Green Knight and Alessio, being teammates, being practice partners, knowing that they might have similar lists.
Well, in that moment there, that happened very fast. Gurnikora dropped the Riders, got a good lead there, and Kolemoen thinking, all right, let's keep that card. Let's not exhaust too many resources, and let's try to get a long round here with an extra card. But Gurnikora, boy, Gurnikora is a great push deck. Gurnikora can really push as the mulligans go in here, and I think that it's plus he has Nithril in hand, which is fantastic to stop any sort of trap shenanigans, but Kolemoen in this case is not running them.
Kolemoen also picking up both the ponies.
Both of the ponies, yeah. We have the Carnex and the Unicorn in hand, which is, you know, especially if there's a bleed that could potentially be happening here, you want to make sure you're stocked up. There's really not a lot of cards here that aren't going to get a decent amount of value, but in a good enough push, it's possible the Dwarven Skirmisher and the Scoia'tael Neophyte make the difference.
Now here's another interesting spot, that Oswald in hand, but really what in the graveyard? If we go take a look over there, McBeans.
We got the Griffin.
We got a Griffin as 8, but that's not the tastiest snack. There is the Caldwell swimming around. There is also in Alessio's deck Old Spear Tip asleep,
also known as Young Spear Tip.
Young Debonair Spear Tip.
Yes.
So there are other options in there for him to eat. So I mean, with that Osroll and the 8, that's not bad. And so you could actually see this potentially being a 2-0 if he suspects that he can get all his pieces on the board to not be threatened. The 2 Neckers, those represent a lot of snowballing points as well. There is also the Wyvern, and again, the Wyvern up here also with Thrive.
Kieran coming down for a lock on this Thrive unit in the second round here. The lock does actually equate to quite a few points when you're targeting Thrive. So it's possible Kolemoen suspects that there could be a real push opportunity here, and he wants to make sure that it also makes it tempting here as well. Gurnikora being still ahead on the pass would be able to maintain, but here comes the push. What did I tell you, my friends? You have a Thrive unit on the board here with the Wyvern.
And now the choice of the lock there, you had 2 Thrives. You think that maybe let's just lock the Fruit, who cares? But that's, I mean, with the different ways that you can get rid of, the monsters can deal with their own units on the board, this was an option of, you know, regenerating the Fruit with Gurnikora is just going to be a zero-sum play ultimately. It's
true, but he doesn't have actually any ways in hand to the lock on the Fruit would have actually been. It seems like it would have.
But Kolemoen doesn't know that. Kolemoen does not know that, and he thought that maybe another Griffin play would just negate that lock. Locking the Necker Warrior was the right way to go, and That is a rain of fire coming down
That's Mullane
from
there.
Mullane. She went onto the range road, dealing 4 damage, 4 enemies, 1 damage apiece, and that is something that could very well change the mind of Alessio if whether he wants to push now or not.
No, but he's really pushing. He's just playing. He's just going to get the value that he thinks he's going to get. If he's assuming this is a shoop list, really only the neophytes, which actually are in kolemon's hand here, would be targets for Gimpy. But Alessio aggressive here with this push. Mullane, along with Dolblethana Archer, really great counter cards in this matchup specifically against Grenacora. Now kolemon has the lead, and the onus is now completely on Ultraman here to do the pushing.
Absolutely. This is a part where, kolemon said, all right, let's get serious. In reality, setting in now for Alessio, because, he's coming back to, take the lead, but he's down 2 cards, and his lead is not that significant. He was probably putting on kolemon to not having answers to those cards.
I think you comfortably play Neophyte and maybe a Brewer Charge here just to stay ahead and play low commitment, because this is gonna, I think that the sweat might be running down the side of my face if I was in Alessio's position, because the Nithril is not going to really connect to anything. Geralt isn't going to have a target, and Osrel, boy, committing Osrel is definitely a dedication to the bleed here.
Absolutely. We'll see how this one goes.
But he gets kolemon to pay the price here. He's buying this round a little bit with the Unicorn, which will split the combo.
Still hanging on to those Brewer charges as well. Again, that's 6 potential points that he can, sprinkle around in pockets of 2 if he needs to take an extra round with a smaller card, like you said, like a non-committal card like the Neophytes. Now, it's worth noting that kolemon doesn't play Aileron, so having elves on the board really doesn't matter. That's not something that he's thinking about.
Alessio still with a very, very aggressive push. Still has the 9-point play in Osrel with in hand plus the Thrive on board. So 10 tidy points from Osrel, and Geralt won't. It doesn't seem like it's going to hit anything here, as the Unicorn buff has already happened at this point. Iflin hasn't been played yet, so no unit. And if Iflin is played on, just the Neophyte, then I mean, you'd have to have some real foresight on Geralt of Rivia. But sometimes, you got to think about those risks if you're going to take those risks.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. At what point do you think Alessio put kolemon on shoop? Like, you're seeing some unorthodox cards like the Farseer.
That's definitely the moment. I think the Farseer
as soon as that comes down,
was immediately.
You can tell. As soon as the player kind of does that squinty, like looks into the camera or looks into the screen, is like, well, what does that text say? What does it do?
This is a great moment here for kolemon, being able to. The reason he played the Unicorn there.
Osrel's coming out.
Big push. This to the bitter end here, forcing kolemon. This forces kolemon to make the 10-point play that he doesn't have. Well, he does with the Carnex.
He has it with the Carnex
Brewer
and
as well,
the Brewer charge. That would do it. And with the Unicorn, actually, sorry, just the Carnex, because the Unicorn's already on the board.
Geralt, so, what am I talking about? He's got tons of plays. Sorry about that. He's got Geralt on Osrel as well. He's got just tons of plays.
Well, there's definitely tons of plays. The Carnex, I mean, the Carnex, I believe, is probably the right play. Otherwise, you can go.
I don't know about that.
Well, you can go
with.
with
Geralt's got to take the opportunity right now, and it's like, well, you know what? I think that the removal is always relevant, so you could argue holding onto the Carnex is okay here, but I mean, kolemon, if he suspects this last card is going to come down to force one more card out, Iflin takes it comfortably. Now, Geralt also, you could save it. I mean, you're going to probably get value out of it. You can customize a lot of power on the board with Brewer's ability, so
right.
Iflin just comfortably, Iflin, he would have to use a Brewer charge.
Now, McBeans, I want to talk about those Thrive units that were completely eradicated from the
what a difference it would have made
and
if any of those
exactly
lived.
What those points potentially represented. And there was the 2 Neckers, there was the Wyvern, there was the Necker Warrior. That's a lot of extra exponential points that could have just generated. So this 1-point lead could have been something like 11, 12, 13 points.
I think that you could make an argument to play Professional here. Out of fear, you won't get a better chance to do it.
I don't think you will get a better play.
But you could play Iflin here and just kind of know that because you have that last card in hand, that Geralt Professional, you line up a Brewer, you drop it with the buff on it, and it just shuts the door.
Yeah, I think, well, you're up with the cards, so it's not necessarily the
Iflin's also a great proactive play to start the next round as well.
That's correct, because otherwise, depending on what you draw, it might be all reactive. It's a matter of, do I think I'll get an opportunity later? Now, it says multiple of 3.
That's
right?
correct.
So there will potentially be some opportunities, but he opts rather to not take the chance and just go with that and have the proactive option of Ithleen.
It does represent a lot of points. It does represent a lot of potential points for Sheldon Skagg.
Oh, there he is.
There's a Mahakam Defender and a Lacerate, which is not, probably not, in a short round you wouldn't hold on to that.
No, that
There's
was...
the Dragoon. No, he's going to be able to buff the Mahakam Guard with Ithleen to lead off.
So he did find some okay cards to generate, you know, a lot of points. There's definitely some meaty dudes that he can go and slam down for some intimidation factor. And again, non-committal, just dropping that dwarf and saying, well, you know.
That's a little bit on the, like if you have the card advantage and you end up playing, I mean, it's a little bit slow, that last card. Here comes the Griffin here, and we do have, now the Ghoul might be a little hungry here, as the Griffin isn't in the graveyard at this point, so the Ghoul would only be able to achieve, yeah, it's the 4, right?
Right.
That's correct. It's fun to be able to do this during the cast, I'll say
right?
that much. I think kolemoen probably needs to develop this engine.
There's the 4 on that side, but there was also, was there not the, there's the Karen in the other gradeyard.
Well, if it was Osriel, that would matter.
That's right, sorry.
But at this point...
it's the Ghoul. The Ghoul has been changed, and it's not Osriel anymore. He's been downgraded.
Big points coming on the board
chat right now. So this is a great thing about Gurnikora, which opens up plays like the Griffin the Griffin early, the 6-point play early. Sorry, the 8-point play early.
kolemoen has a stranglehold on this game at this point, though. I think Alessio ultimately just pushed a little bit too hard. It was not wrong to make kolemoen spend important pieces, but since he wasn't able to get there, we're just going to see that concede here as we tie it up. kolemoen and Alessio win a piece. Finally, we know that this one is not going to be a shutout. We have ourselves a series.
So in this case, I mean, this might be a matter of lesson learned from Alessio, thinking that perhaps, I mean, it was an interesting gamble to take because he went in, and if, like I said, if all those Thrive units were able to connect on every single unit drop, that's an additional potentially 4 points of value per unit played.
Oh yeah.
That could have been enormous. That's a kind of, you know, a snowball effect of 12 to 12, 14, 15, 16 points. That would have pulled out those extra cards. He could have gone into the third round with first of all, you know, that Ithleen would have connected into nothing because he'd have to have played it, so that would have no carryover or long game potential. And then the third round could have really been up for grabs. So I suspect that maybe Alessio is not going to push as hard if you know, if he suspects that his opponent has a little bit more control-y type cards.
I mean, I think Alessio is a big fan of pushing with Gurnikora, I know this, so that it didn't really surprise me, but I think that kolemoen just had the answers. Brewer looking really good in this series so far, picking up a win apiece for both players. We get to see what we're going to see for the next leadoff here. kolemoen back on the blue coin, so he'll be acting first. It's possible he gives Meave another shot. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
So both Brewers going through. They looking fly.
There she is.
Golden Spiffy.
And we're talking about this Morvan list. This is a Commander's Horn, like a double Commander's Horn potential Morvan list, much like Green Knight's list. So he's going to be looking to just try to get those 30 points when we're sounding the Commander's Horn. Commandos.
Which was nice, and I mean we saw it in the previous series. And these are two players, Green Knight and Alessio. They've practiced together. They're very tightly knit. So we're probably going to see similar lines of play, similar strategies, and again that extra horn play.
kolemoen has a little bit better hand as far as combo potential here. Anna is in hand as well as the Trident Infantry, both of them. If he's able to get those things to stick, which is, you know, it's a pretty tall order, but Alessio does have Sarah, does have the Alba Armored Cavalry, but otherwise it's possible that it might just be an engine, a battle of engines here. I have a feeling that kolemoen is going to have to make the decision. You know, Anna's not always reliable, but if you make the decision, you get the engines ticking. Without committing too much, Morvan might just back out of this round early on.
The Peter is sitting there in hand in case something gets way too out of hand. He could have potential last say against something like a Hubert.
But there is no. But now Alessio doesn't know it for sure, though.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So he could be sitting there on that, suspecting that that could be an option. kolemoen is not playing. He's not playing Hubert.
He is not playing Hubert. Here comes the engines dropping down. So Morvan with the double Nausicaa Sergeant in hand for that extra added engine value early on. But there's the Tridem Infantry, and that Tridem Infantry represents a lot of points if Anna is able to get going, which is very easy with Meve, and often very good if the botchling, or the Lubberkin, I should say, is ticking as well. Choosing not to develop another engine, but instead just get those units out of the deck, proc the deploy, make this a little bit safer.
Yeah, he might be suspecting maybe that, you know, it's still too early to tell, but yeah, it's a safe play to just drop that out there. Rather than committing the other engine, you are missing out on some points for that deploy effect. But
Nazca Sergeant can get you so many points in the right round. Sometimes it's just, you know, maybe I just want to see where this goes. Alessio is just kind of evaluating the situation. He has the pass option early on here, as this Sergeant's going to get a lot of value. Now we're seeing a lot of stuff happen here for kolemoen that didn't happen in the last game. The cards didn't align quite well, but here the Tridem sticking, the boosts in hand, Anna potentially, and a second Tridem on the way potentially.
Playing, coming in there and playing those Impera Brigades just seems to me like it was just bodies against the random damage effects, protecting that engine first. But again, still, he opting to play the Witchers instead, keeping the other, keeping his Nazca Sergeant in a relatively healthy-ish range. I mean, it's not an attractive enough place to drop the 4 points of a Vest or the 4 points of a Chironex this early.
Far too early, but here comes, this is going to generate at minimum 3 points a turn. At this point, even after the pass. So it was important that Alessio was ahead in that last play, but I think that this is, now this is basically kolemoen saying, well, if you want the round, you're gonna have to deal with this right now.
Yeah, and this is not gonna stop anytime soon. You could always lock the Anna, which he chooses to do.
He's gonna stick around, he's gonna, I mean, being able to shut down Anna is important, of course. Puts kolemoen in the position to say, okay, well, that engine's out of the way, so now how much am I going to commit? Hand's pretty good. The other Tridem Infantry is now clearly the worst card in hand. So it's just going to have to be, you know, does kolemoen want to continue here, or does he want to just get that card, force Alessio to play another card, go into an 8-card round 2, really limiting the options of setting up anything strong?
Just looking bleak. He might have actually just, you know, Alessio might have thought that perhaps he was already figuring that maybe his hand wasn't something that he wanted to go too deep with right now. So that's why he was non-committal with the second engine piece. Might be something that he values later on for another longer round. Things like Serret, things like Peter, these are not cards that he's anticipating playing right now. And maybe the Infiltrator is something that he wants to just, you know, drop off for free later on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Peter gives Alessio a lot of reach at this point as far as what he's able to take. But that last play there of the Ifrit, that was an important piece. That was actually a good card spent by kolemoen. It's important to show that Ultraman did not play anything that you could qualify as being like a huge resource that would allow him to win the game later. So all he did was what you need to do early. Thinning is winning.
The bumper sticker we're gonna get, my friend.
Honk if you love Gwent.
Honk if you love Gwent. Thinning is winning.
My son is a pro rank player. All right, mulligan options here for both players.
There's the horn coming in.
Some risky stuff. The commandos, Blue Stripe Commandos, still in the list. There's Double Scout Commando. Double Scout Commando. When you're in control of the round, and so it's. Do you think? The option to play or pass for kolemoen with a hand like this, the hand doesn't offer enough great mulligans for the third round, I think, to clear out something that maybe isn't going to get you the potential, because I'm looking at Alessio's hand. It's real good. It's real good. It
is good. I do like the commando play here, because it's going to look to either, you know, he's going to have to answer with something like, you know, an Ox or another cavalry, but he doesn't have it. He has the damage from Serret, you know, so if he can get this to stick and then drop another scout on it, that is some great value. Drop the scout, get the other boys out to play.
Vest is a pretty good get here. Vincent probably won't see nearly as much value as Vest would be, so yeah, going to take Vest out of there. kolemoen probably, there were a lot of other good options there. Getting Okfist would be pretty strong, but most of the good cards at this point, Botchling, Unicorn, Chironex, in kolemoen's hand, but a lot of the cards that he probably would have loved Treyharn to see, not here, but at least now he is actually committing to the round here, because his hand really supports this board state. Again, the 2 engines are on the board now. Morvran can't really solve both commandos, so the scout will get a little bit extra, another 8 points on a 4-point bronze. You'll take it. You'll take it every day.
Absolutely, that's a great value from your bronze play over there, and he's got the luxury of having 2 orders to bring out the extra boys, right? So there's no problems there. Getting as much value, as much reach as you can from your bronze is often what those early rounds are all about. You don't want to commit too many of those big cards, and coming down onto the board, slamming down some.
Our boy Lethal, he's coming for you.
I love this redo of this card. It just looks so amazing.
It's good. I mean, it had a lot of people debating, like, is it really good? Is it necessary? Do I have room for it in the list? Well, Morvran has room for lots of stuff. He's one of the highest provision point leaders that's available. Giving a little bit of information to kolemoen, saying, yeah, I don't have Ox in my hand, but I do have Serret. So you know that at least.
Well, I know, like an Ox in this case might have been the locking play over there to sort of go ahead and lock down.
Well, of course, it would have gotten both of the scouts.
So the downside here is that, you know, Lethal comes down, does the damage. It's not going to change anything besides the point value the point differential that it's creating. But at the same time, you're also giving away some value, some information to your hand. I have Serret. I do not have Ox, right?
Yeah, because these commandos lived and Ox is no longer a threat, it looks like kolemoen's just going to try to get that Meve cooldown rotation, make sure you're getting the value out of the Tridem Infantry, developing that as well for the GWENT Sergeant, which is another tidy 7 points. He's getting a lot of value out of his bronze cards. kolemoen is playing the value game here, but again, I just got to point out, Ultraman's hand is very good.
It's a
very
great
strong
hand. Great hand, lots of big play potential. Seeing that Commander Thorn come in.
There's the protection, and as well as keeping the lead on the round, very important here. And now the tables have turned a little bit. kolemoen going for the pressure, and Alessio looking like he can take the heat.
Putting a little bit of the bamboozle over there, protecting your unicorn when you don't have the Chironix in hand.
But it was still a play that kept him ahead in the round.
No, definitely, absolutely.
I mean, but it's fine. There's nothing suspicious about that. That's exactly one of the main reasons you play Morvran. Again, of course, outside of the provisions and the fact that he is, well, the provisions make him just a very strong leader in general. But being able to protect the unicorn and bring it up to 6, there's really not a lot of cards that can deal with that.
So this is going to be a scout play onto the commando, getting the other boys back in town and. And look at all the point differential. Look how close, I mean, the scores are, but it's all bronze. It's all from bronzes.
It's all bronze value. The botchling not being played, kolemoen is maybe deciding, depending, like the botchling would make a statement, right? I'm in this for a long time. I think Alessio isn't sure when kolemoen's going to give up here.
Oh, wow.
Big plays. kolemoen's going deep, I think, on this one. He's got a nice, good lead here. He's got still a lot of options with the blue stripes. As long as these cards are here, this card is going to get value. No rush.
Definitely.
The botchling, though.
He might just be telegraphing the fact that, you know what, I don't have the scout. That was it. That was all that I had, was just these. This is the bronze value they're going to get.
That's actually a really good point. Alessio might think that the hand is the hand is better than it actually is.
If you're taking those options away from your opponent's mind, that is all, you know, that's as good as it's like an extra level, an extra weapon that you can use at your disposal. Is now he's saying, well, okay, so he doesn't have a scout. So what are these 4 points? So if it's not a scout, it's not 8 points. It's not this. It's not that. So as he sees new cards come out, he's putting kolemoen on other things, other cards, but never the scout. So that extra doubt might come back to you know, bite him in the ass, so to speak, when he doesn't suspect it, and there it is, there's the 8 points.
Yeah, I think that the scout looks really good. The GWENT Sergeant is going to connect. There's the worst card that was in Alessio's hand, not putting him ahead. So kolemoen now has the option to go into round 3, acting last on even cards.
And not only that, but the Commander's Horn now, again, if you're not playing a long round, the Commander's Horn has to make sure that the porridge is just right to make it all those 5 units in a row, get it to go. A sire comes out, puts it back in. That's, you know, you need some bodies for that to go off to its maximum potential, and I don't think he has the cards or just the amount of turns necessary to do it right now.
Yeah, I mean, the potential of getting great value off Horn. I mean, when you play Horn twice in most rounds, that's going to be pretty good, but you want to get those 30 points. You want to get those 30 points.
Pretty good. There we go. This is pretty much telegraphing. He smells blood in the water. He wants to make sure that this is a 2-0, and this is only going to get better and better.
So Alessio is now going to make the assumption here, considering that Peter doesn't have the greatest targets at this point. Asir is going to be used for Horn potentially, but also could be used as Roach. Just a strong 9-point play in a short round. You want that as Morvran. It could be Horn time, but the Horn doesn't get him ahead. So
You're going to have to, the horn's 12, and then you're going to have to use your leader ability to put you over the top, right? To get you to the 34 points. So that's probably
I might actually be what happens here. There's the horn.
Yeah.
But there is no more.
No more.
He's going to say, okay.
Oh, you know what? It wouldn't. I don't think it wouldn't have put you over the top because of the botchling tick.
That is true. He would have to play both charges.
Correct.
Good catch, Lick.
Well, this is a very interesting board state right now because I think that that round 3 double horn option is not really looking like a round 3, like it's in the forecast for round 3.
Yeah, it's looking like he needs to do it now to keep the card. Keeping the card being very important. Again, this is not a Hubert list from kolemoen, so setting up for a huge long round. The horn is going to go back in the deck.
Like, what happens? What if you draw the horn and you've got 2 units on the board? Is that better?
He won't be drawing it. He'll be playing it with Menno.
Right. Okay.
Because that's his winning play if kolemoen passes right here, which you could make you might want to do that. I mean, this looks, unless kolemoen is putting him on just actually not having it, but you do get 7 points out of the kolemoen Sergeant, otherwise just mulling it for something better. But as far as kolemoen's hand, or potential cards, he does have good short round cards in Nenneke and Selkirk and Vincent potentially. But with Asira already on the board, with Letho already being played, Serad already being played, Vincent isn't even that great. But there's the pass.
There's the pass.
There's the tick.
That's a very interesting pass. I mean, you'd think that maybe you just drop the extra bronze card, but I think maybe that he thought that that bronze card wasn't really going to put him over the top. That one big card was going to. I think he suspected that the Menno play was going to come out, which would have, not factored into the bronze play.
This puts him safely ahead, out of reach of botchling. No need to spend any charges here. Peter going into round 3. Much better hand here. The short round, the story will be told here. kolemoen is looking for, Selkirk. He's looking for Nenneke. Vincent probably isn't going to get the best value here. We're going to see what the players think about these hands. Infiltrator's got to go.
There's the Infiltrator.
Ultraman did not get the mulligans he wanted.
The Infiltrator was just, again, like just teasing, going into that hand and saying...
That was his own Infiltrator.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, hello.
I mean, this is at least the Peter, the Peter Sargwenlev would have been a good counter to Vincent, but Vincent could be a final play here with the Zeal. Alessio's got to go in. He does have engine potential. He has that slave driver is not good. The slave driver is basically having to line up here. No great information from the reveal saying, okay, no trebuchet. That's not as comforting as it could be.
Slave driver coming down, for dealing 2 damage plus the extra point from the sergeant with the engine tick there. But
now Morvan can play around Vincent to some extent. Considering that Vincent is not going to get a lot of value in the first place, but the buffs from Morvan keep it out of Vincent's range. Vincent is, it's going to be a close one. Unlike the last game with the swing of, what was that, like 100 points?
Yeah, it was
huge.
This
one's going to be a little sweet and low. We're actually seeing a short round 3 here, I believe for the second time. Last game we saw that as well. But the push is real from both players here in this best of 5. kolemoen has. Selkirk can't be played too early because damage shuts it down, but it can't be played too late because you got to activate it. So the decision is Vincent just has no great value. The kolemoen Sergeant does get all these buffs get reset as well by Peter. Now Alessio may have the hand here.
You could put the kolemoen Sergeant down over here, which could then actually help you out with the Selkirk. But there's no real answer to the Selkirk. The Selkirk will stay on the board, right? And what you could do then is you could boost
him back up again.
You just boost him back up again, and he's looking great again. No problems there. I mean, obviously it's not as good as it could be. You're not going to be hitting the Sergeant, but what you're hitting actually is you're trading with the 4. You get the Meave buff.
Well, this is actually, he gets 5
plus
points.
Nenneke, exactly. There's going to be a lot. That's actually, it's not looking too bad.
Selkirk can well, hold on here. Now, if Selkirk gets back up to, Selkirk's going to get back up to 6, I believe.
Well, there's going to be the 3 coming from Nenneke, the 1 boost from the Meave, and possibly the 2 from the Sergeant.
Oh, yeah.
Brings him up to 7.
He's going to swing in here. He's going to swing in.
Maximize.
Heavy hitter on that Sergeant.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course, the Meave boost, making it that much sweeter. Oh, that is
Gone with
going
the win,
to
not
be
even going to see the fight.
Red has forfeited the game. kolemoen going up 2-1 in this matchup right here. And just a reminder, my friends, if you didn't know, Pre-orders are up for Crimson Curse. If you're just tuning into this match, the pre-orders are available for Crimson Curse. We saw that spectacular card back. We saw that amazing brand new model Unseen Elder skin. And of course, the 40 kegs aren't bad either.
40 kegs are fun to crack, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, it's just nothing beats just sitting down there and busting kegs, baby.
Just digging into the brand new card. Yeah, new premiums are going to be, I can't wait to see some of these new premiums. Right. That teaser got me excited as well. PlayGwent.com, my friends, get that pre-order going. Jump into Shoop's shop as well. Check it out on GOG. There's lots of ways to get there.
Also, I mean, you know, you can use the hashtag Gwent Masters. Go ahead and talk to us about what you like out of it. Tweet at us.
Yeah.
We want to hear about it, you
absolutely.
know?
Yeah.
So,
tweet at us at GWENT Open. Definitely follow us at GWENT Masters.
Hey, man, you know what?
And stay
you know what
with
I just
us.
thought? Unseen Elder, new skin cosplay.
New skin
New skin cosplay.
Hey,
Flames and all.
It should be easy for me. I just need to glue a ponytail to the back of my head and I paint my head gray. It's I'm already there, right? I'm already there. Well, then I have to shave my beard, and what would the people say? Probably what they usually say. Why did you shave?
We can call you McPonytail.
More Vran Mirror. You will not call me that.
I will not call you that.
More Vran Mirror here for potentially match point here for Kolemoen. Alessio now fighting for his life in the mirror. Now these are, again, two different lists. We have Shoop coming in for Kolemoen, and we get another chance to see this double horn list get a win here. I mean, double horn seemed good. Both players were able to actually execute it in Green Knight and Alessio, and it still hasn't gotten a win.
That's right. I mean, the mystery's gone. Kolemoen knows about the double horn opportunity over there, so he's going to probably look to make the same type of push that that he used last time, is to get those resources out, get that win condition out earlier than anticipated, or at least bleed him down to the point where maybe he can't line up five units. That's going to factor in Kolemoen's strategy here.
Always on the mirror, going first, tends to not feel the greatest, no matter how much things are improved for the first for the player going first. And this is going to be that early round dance we're getting familiar with. Play an engine, lock an engine, play another unit that matters, kill a unit. You know, it's just those low commitment plays that are just trying to establish a foothold in a board state where you can say, no, I might actually have a chance in this mirror.
That's right. Both players also having the Witchers in their back pocket. Those are going to probably come down silent, like one after another. You know, it's definitely a monkey see, monkey do situation in the mirror a little bit over here. You play this, I answered, like you said. So, but interesting cards again. Cards that tip off the Shoop, ladies and gentlemen. 101. There it is. The Wolf Pack.
Best card in the game?
Best card in the game.
Of course.
Look how vicious it is. His eyes are red.
Yeah. How many rounds does a Wolfpack win?
Clearly
ask yourself that, my friends. Ask yourself that. But that'll be the tip-off. Also, Nausicaa Brigade, a decent card, not usually seen in a normal constructed non-Shoop list. For
that Wolfpack with the red eyes, he must have seen the pre-order.
Oh yeah,
for sure. He's looking at the screen right now.
He's got the crimson. Yeah, he's reflected in his eyes.
He's got the crimson curse, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go. One more engine opportunity here. Sorry, this is the mirror. This is the first engine being developed here on Kolemoen's side.
And answers on the other side. There it goes.
I love this interaction, by the way.
Wasn't that great? I like the fact it's like, oh, you lock my thing. I'm going to use that lock to my advantage.
But it feels so good to open up with Alba Armor Cavalry and know that your slave drivers from then on can eliminate the rest of the engines. Generally, they come in at 4. You need to protect it at that point. And of course, you know, it's just one of those cool interactions where the text says each locked unit. Doesn't say where.
No.
Locked unit is that's. You know, there's bullets in my revolver.
One big happy family. Hey, there we go. The Crimson Curse
pack. So
boom.
I think that would tip off.
Oh no, he decided no. That's a finisher, Dane.
That's clearly what he was thinking. He reconsidered it.
Oh boy, the Angry Wolves come down for the first time in Gwent history to make a splash. It's
Good
like
old Wolfpack.
Yeah, it's like Canine Larry.
Infiltrator coming down here. Now we won't really be able to attribute the Infiltrator to anybody here because you can see them both here. It's just strong, just 4-point plays. Again, low commitment. Alessio will be able to keep the engine off the board. Of course, Kolemoen being able to also stop the engine. Tactical advantages being used at this point.
And yeah, tactical advantages being used in the 6-card slot. This might be a point. I mean, if you're looking at his hand, what really does he want to commit? If he loses a round dropping that 6-point knight, if he wins the round dropping that 6-point knight, if necessary, at some point is early on could be a nice push play. But again, there are the Witchers, and again, these could potentially just be matched by even more Witchers.
Oh yeah, you say yeah, you have Witchers. Me too. I have Witchers
side
as
of
well.
Roach.
Lots, that the disparity there still kind of stays exactly the same as it was last turn. One card deeper into the round. kolemoen has that luxury of really just deciding, how deep he wants the round to go without letting go. But it's harder to do that as you approach 4 cards.
Right. Serret backing that Letho over there, offering him a little bit of damage in his back pocket if he wants to hit the board for some 9-point swing over there. But could this be just a matter of just giving up the round over here, or do you want to give more?
Well, you're asking kolemoen to make a lot of points up, I think.
Yeah.
kolemoen is going to just take the pass here because, yeah, he would be tasked to make up a ton of points if Alessio wanted to turn that around and pass here. So kolemoen, once again, holding the card, losing the round, putting the push potential or the bleed potential in Alessio's hand. Let's take another look at these mulligans here.
kolemoen's hand does not look all that fantastic, to be honest. Lots of bronze power. He wants to probably toss away some of that. He still has to hunt for that shoop.
He would need shoop it's definitely a selling point of the deck. He's going to hold on to the Bomb Heaver and drop the Nilfgaardian Knight in this situation here, as Alessio is actually not running Leo Bonhart.
There we go. Easy. Asking you shall receive. That's a little caster precognition over there.
That means Traherne isn't going to find it, but he is going to get a nice grab there. That's going to be the unicorn going directly into the graveyard. Good old Traherne.
Traherne's had a little bit of a horsey massacre going on. I think that's a lot of unicorns that have been tossed to the graveyard immediately.
I mean, I've seen some Trahernes like that can really demolish a game. These Trahernes have felt pretty tame. You get a good piece, but you're not getting, no win conditions, I think, have been really stopped here, as kolemoen just tests the waters here with an engine. Is it going to stick? Alessio not going to go beyond 7 cards there at no risk of pushing at this point. He wants last say. He's going to get last say.
That's right.
And we're going to sound the horn a couple times, I think.
And beyond that, McBains, is the fact that he's going to get the long round that he probably needs in order to take it with that double horn strategy.
Elite. All right, let's go. That is
new cards, ladies and gentlemen.
We don't see that very often.
If there's any, if there's any card that puts your deck in, put it in H. It's the Venendal Elite.
Well, a 3-point ping's nothing to sneeze at. It's always good to be able to remove an engine.
I'm saying, it's really nice to see these cards. There's a Traherne of his own.
People have varied opinions about seeing shoop. That's for sure.
Can he Traherne? Traherne, can he?
Ooh, it's an interesting. I know what you're getting at.
Does he even have? Yeah, so the Asir's there. Once he horns and Asir's can he Traherne it back to the graveyard?
Could he brick Menno? Well, since he's not. Well, yeah. I mean, it is potential. It is possible. There's only 6 cards. Only 6 cards left in Alessio's deck. That would be a pretty. If that ended up being the difference, that would be a pretty nutty.
Because let's take a look at Asir real quick over there and talk about her game text. It's shuffle a card.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, there she is. Bam, she's out, and she's probably bringing
the 9-point
horse and pony show with her. But shuffle a card from your graveyard into your deck. That's shuffle, right? So that could be on the top, on the bottom, one of the top 3 cards. So if the Traherne comes out and finds the Commander's Horn, Alessio's strategy of the double horn is just. It's moot.
Well, it turns this card into a 2-point card.
Well, exactly. That negates the strategy of the horn is now useless. The Menno is just a 2-point drop. There's really that could be so soul crushing.
It's a calculated risk, I think, as well, because kolemoen had the choice to mulligan Traherne or something else, and he chose to mulligan away. I believe he had the Nausicaa Brigade in his hand.
Now, blink if you missed it. If blinking, you'll miss it right there. That is Letho coming out, offering the 3 damage, backed up by the Serret, but also wondering if Alessio caught that one, seeing that it was also locked, giving away a little bit more information of the Ox in hand. So he can just take a look. He can just find it in the graveyard.
There it is.
And take a look. As can we, because we have spectator mode.
We have the power.
Upgrade noted. So Alessio
proactive play, I think, for Alessio would be, well, no, he wants to save Asira, of course, for the horn. Yeah, he's got to spend something pretty good. There's nothing really to lock, but he might just play it anyway. He might just play, there's not really a great lock target. He's not even going to play it. He's going to play it on the back there. It's totally fine. He's not going to give up. He doesn't want to power up kolemoen Slave Driver.
No. Kolemoen yeah, kolemon's potential slave driver as well. At the same time, you're also lining up the back row to maybe get the extra body with the Menno on the horn as well.
Oh,
so,
yeah,
you know,
that's where you want to stack.
Exactly.
100%.
So I don't think it's so much of as worrying about a slave driver as you'd think that it would probably be something that would have been tossed away with mulligans and such. But it's just an extra body to connect with horn, right?
Slave infantry might be the play here, just to convert Roach into willing and able body for the war effort, potentially. It's going to go ahead and actually just put the Karnax on the board to perhaps not protecting it, though, in this situation here.
No, well, there's no need to protect it, right? The other one's in the trash, is it
That's
not?
right, yes, of course. That's what we already saw this occur.
Hello, Pony.
There's Leo. Now that's a decent piece of information, considering that's probably the only really good card that kolemon is not drawing. In this matchup, it's not. What's quite good actually. You destroy Witchers, kill those Witchers. So Alessio is probably pretty happy to see that Leo is not going to be a factor in this.
That's fantastic. It also allows you to play that unicorn a little more liberally, right? You know, 8 or more power. You can go ahead and stack those boosts wherever you want without those fears. It's no problem whatsoever.
Well, you have some fears. You do have Peter Gwenlev on the reset.
All right.
There are some fears.
There are some fears. We have limited amount of fears.
No need to get complacent and just start boosting things willy-nilly.
Well, you know what? I'm just saying, when you're that good at Gwent, sometimes you're just fearless. Or sometimes you have some fears.
I mean, I'm okay at Gwent, but I'm scared every day of my life.
I'm scared.
So, I mean, we'll see. So Letho coming down here now showing, giving that information. I don't have Seret, I do have Ox in this situation, which is not as important, for the same reason that we saw the Alba Armored Cavalry touchdown. The locks aren't as important here, not really the engines to worry about. What you're worried about is just, the strong plays of Shoop, the strong plays of having all 3 Witchers, the Viper crew in your hand here.
Clowns, Dane, that's what I'm scared of. Clowns in heights, especially clowns in high places.
My sister-in-law also terrified of clowns.
Bunch of clowns. All right.
Shout out to my sister-in-law.
Shout out to my sister-in-law. So again, putting all the things in the back row, because the Asire, the Menno, these are all cards that are going to end up there anyways to line up the horn. But kolemon, yeah, kolemon knows this. Kolemon has seen this before. This is the second time in a row. He's just played against this deck right now, so he suspects all this happening. That's actually not so bad. The Karnax had taken the damage there, so the boost kind of limits a little bit of Peter's range now. Peter's now only with the 5-point reset versus more than that. And Shoop is still ominously waiting.
He's waiting. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know how it's going to go down. But I think kolemon, if he wanted to get value out of the Hunter, the value is there. The 3 units are on the board for the 3 pings. The row is stacked for potentially a row effect. Or he could just go for kind of a more proactive, the Knight play, just try to get 12 points from it right now. As we're seeing Seret come down, destroy a random enemy does take a body off for Horn and is going to hit at least 6. Here comes Shoop. There's the Hunter. Let's see the options. I'll try to be as quick as possible.
Destroy a random enemy, boost all units in hand, and play a random card. I suspect that destroy a random enemy seems like the right play. That's at least 6 points.
It just does everything he wants to prevent and everything he wants to do. And that is
there
what's
it is.
Is he going to get the high roll, though?
Oh, no, that's fine.
You'll take it.
It was a 1 in 3. It's no big deal, but look at that.
It was just a great board for that.
Yeah. The Pony brothers are still there, kind of looking at each other and be like, the hell just happened? We had a guy between us. What happened? But it's good.
So this gets a little bit more difficult for Ultraman here. He's got Peter with no great target, and there he is, just
slamming it down. That's what I'm saying.
He's got to get those. He needs the bodies. He needs to protect. He's protecting against the Venendal Elite. This is really important.
And kolemon is literally just putting on a clinic over here. He knows the strategy. He's got it completely mapped out. He knows how to take control of this.
This Traherne could be something. This Traherne could be something.
Now, so if he's suspecting how this is going to go, it means that at some point there's going to have to be a horn into the Asire. Now, the horn itself is probably, I mean, is this the play where Ox comes down?
Yeah, I mean, it's just bodies at this point. You got to play Ox, Horn, Asira, and Menno. That's the sequence. That's the winning sequence for Alessio here. And kolemon has to hit big. He's going to get a big reset on the Kyrenex, at least with Peter. Here comes Ox. Just a nice little extra lock on Shoop. Oh, a Slave Driver would just hit the jackpot right here, but...
Venendal Elite is like the play over here, and McBee, if you want to let's just show what Venendal Elite, because not many people know what it is. It's a deploy effect. If your leader's ability was used this turn, damage an enemy by 3. So they still got 3 charges. That's the 2 points off of the Morvran reveal, and then he comes down, the Venendal Elite comes down for an additional 3 plus 3 damage.
Here it comes, yep, this is going to be it here. He's going to take a little bit of damage. He's going to leave those boosted units alone for Peter to feast on. He knows a horn is going to at least touch this. I haven't heard that voice line in a while.
No.
Dua and Kedda.
That is a blast from the past. There's the
Sound
horn.
the horn, my friends.
All right, so I want to see if I was right about this.
Oh,
I want to
man.
see if he connects. This is the Peter play for sure. This is absolutely the Peter play on the Kyrenex, bringing it down to 4. Now we see if there's a little bit.
Oh, Coleman has so many points here. Alessio needs the double horn.
Oh my goodness, this could be a home run.
Does he brick Menno or not?
There it is! There it is!
Coleman gets the clutch Traherne, denying the horn, denying Menno.
And he's just gonna take a look at the graveyard and see what went. It's gonna go right into the shredder, and suddenly Menno looks all smug.
Yeah, Menno's not gonna get it done here. Alessio just has to laugh, enjoy his time in the throne here as Coleman.
Oh my goodness!
Coming in swinging, doing Coleman things. Just having a good win rate against people. Alessio did take a game off Coleman, the only player to be eliminated that actually is able to collect a win. So a little bit of extra pocket change for Alessio. But Coleman just put on the pressure. The Traherne combo, denying the horn, bricking the Menno.
What
Fantastic
an end.
keep. And the decision on the mulligan was there to mulligan Nausicaa Brigade or Traherne. It was just, you could see that last little bit of consideration, and then the dots were connected from the very start.
Goodness.
It was destined to be. Coleman will be going on to face, well, we're going to find out, either Tailbot or Pronio in Game 4, though. But that was, I enjoyed the matchup. I think we got to see how players really value pushing, how players really value trying to tap out those resources. We saw really strong push from Coleman on Neve's side, really strong push from Grenacora on Alessio's side. Both plays, both strategies to push were, I think, correct in those moments. Absolutely, but they were just able to fight off, get the cards we needed, and that Traherne sealing the deal. What a way! These games have all ended on some pretty spectacular notes.
Well, those are, I mean, whether it's just humongous point swings or just giant, disruptive plays like that Traherne coming in and saying, nah, you only get 1 horn this time. I know that breaks your heart, my friend, but still.
I love sounding the horn, of course.
Yeah, we love sounding that horn, but I mean, you cannot have a player like Coleman who's the place at the level that he does with the amount of time that he does. Again, let's just go back to the stats. 59 pro ladder matches between the two, 44 to 15 in terms of wins. A 75% win rate between the two in favor of Coleman. And I mean, that's exactly how the stats matched up over here. It was 75%, 3-1, right? And someone with that kind of Gwent acumen, someone like Coleman, such a student of the game. I know that sounds like such a cliche thing to do, but I'm not even kidding you, man. He was out there studying lists and watching games for every waking hour leading up to this tournament, and it showed because he identified the strategy. He figured out, he knew how to beat it. He had the right targets down in terms of what classes to beat, and he executed just magically.
Coleman's always there. From Dark Horse and Challenger 2 to maybe the fastest horse in the race these days. Coleman standing by with Paul Berja. Let's hear what he has to say about the match.
Once in my life, I played against Coleman on Pro Ladder. I remember it was like spicy curry. It hurt for 2 days. All right, Coleman, that horn at the end, did you really need that to win?
I think in this particular game I had enough points anyways, but it could have, of course, made the difference. I knew he was playing that Alessio Menno combo, so I tried to save it for the end, and it could have made the difference, for sure.
How do you feel about your semifinalists?
My opponent, you mean?
Yeah, your opponent.
Well, I don't know him yet, right? It could be Tervo or Fonio.
Who would you want more? Because they're both here. We can actually see them.
So if Tervo makes it to the semis, then I'm guaranteed in Challengers. So I actually prefer him to win.
Okay.
In terms of like which one I have better chances to beat, I don't know yet because I haven't seen their list so far. So I have to see.
Fair answer, fair answer. All right, congratulations, and see you in the semifinals tomorrow.
Thanks.